Welcome to the On Purpose podcast. We have today Bianca, and she is going to share her Earthwaking story with us. Bianca, where did you grow up?
We're going all the way back. Let's go.
Mhm.
Okay, so I grew up in a city called Coral Springs in Florida. So the state of Florida is where I started this journey of life.
How was it like growing up there?
How was it like growing up there? For the most part, I'd say boring. I really would. I would. I'd say it was kind of boring, but we did our best. All the people that I was around, we it's like going to school, it was kind of the same people. So I wouldn't say it was a small town, but kind of, depending on what school you went to or that I went to.
What school did you go to?
Whoa, how early are we starting? Elementary, middle, high
Yeah,
school?
start there. Where did you go to elementary school?
I went to Country Hills Elementary, and that was right here. And then I went to Coral Springs Middle School, which was like right over here. And then I went to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, which was like right over here. So
Oh, so it was a really close vicinity.
they were all close by, yeah, to each other.
How was it like growing up with your family? How many brothers and sisters do you have? And
So I had a pretty small family. I had my mom and my dad and my sister. And me and my sister are 13 years apart. So she was only around until I was like 6, and then she moved out. And um I remember being in 5th grade. So I don't really remember the age, probably like a couple years after she moved out, she ended up getting pregnant and having my niece. So I became an aunt in 5th grade. But I also grew up with a nanny who was basically like my grandma because she came into the picture when I was around 4 years old. So I spent majority of my time with her. My parents worked a lot.
what's your nanny's name?
So her name, so I called her Buni. That's grandma in Romanian, short for Bunica, which is how you say grandma in Romanian. Her nickname is Nutsi, and her full name was Elena.
Elena.
Mhm. Yeah.
Amazing. What did you like the most about her? You seem touched when you speak about her.
Yeah. I really loved just the time she would spend with me. Yeah, she was always there. So that was good. Except for sometimes she would leave back to Romania. So my family is Romanian. I'm the first generation in the States from in America. They pursued the American dream. And so uh in order to make that a reality for them, they needed someone to support with me growing up. So they brought her in and gave her, you know, a opportunity to be a at-home nanny. So that's how she spent her life. And I just look back and I'm like, I can't believe it. Like for a majority of the rest of her life, she spent it with me.
Is she not here with us anymore?
No, she passed away when I was like 15. Yeah, I remember I was so close. I was like looking forward to getting to drive her around, but I didn't have my license quite yet, so I never really got to do that. But yeah. Yeah, she hits my heart. She's, I speak Romanian and I got a lot of practice with her as a little girl because that's all she spoke. She didn't speak any English. So that was how I communicated with her. So it's cool.
That's how you kept it fresh. Okay, now I'm seeing a little bit more of the story.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move up to high school. How was it like growing up in high school?
I mean, that's where all the I feel like the programming was both began and got reinforced, really, is what it felt like. Like I felt really good being with a group of friends, because I felt safe and I didn't really need to go out and make new friends or do anything. I kind of just got to like hide behind the scenes of like a group and just kind of hang out and do my thing that way. So I wasn't really involved in high school at all. I just kind of went. And then I remember um, my lifestyle back in my teenage years was a lot more free than a lot of my friends. Like I had pretty much the ability to kind of do things, and but my friends didn't. So I didn't really get to hang out with them as much as I'd like to. You know, they had curfew and like they couldn't hang out on certain days. And I just remember like I can, but I don't have anyone to do that with. So I just, and I guess looking back, I didn't realize how much I missed my older sister. I remember that being like the best time in my childhood is having her. And when she moved out, it was kind of like I didn't have a sister anymore, even though I did, but she was having her life, and um, she'd come over every so often and I'd get to talk to her and stuff. But part of me is like, wow, I felt like I was longing for that. I had it and then I had friends and then I was like, well, what's going on here? Like, where'd my sister go? Where'd my friends go? I don't, so it was just me. And this hit home because my nanny died right around that age. So the one person I spent all of my time with is no longer. And now it's just me, mom and dad, and my mom and dad are hanging out by themselves. They're winding down after work, having their whatever they're having. And so I don't know. I didn't really know who to go to. So it was me a lot, just me and myself and I before I knew God. And that was hell because I didn't realize like I had everything I need right here. I was just, I was lost. I was lost and alone and just so emotional. And like, I made it so wrong. And that hasn't changed. Like, I'm still that. But now it's different. It was never a problem, it was never a bad thing. And it's just crazy because now I look back at my life and I'm like, wow, the only thing that was missing was God. It's the only thing. Like I knew God, but I didn't know what it meant to like call on him and like yeah, I didn't know what I didn't know, and that's okay. But that is part of my story. So,
So, what was the biggest struggle you think for yourself in high school?
man, my biggest struggle, just I wanted, I don't know, I wanted to, well, I'll tell you this. This is what's coming up right now. I remember just being so like lonely, but having friends at the same time. So it was like, I want to connect and hang out, but at the same time, when I wanted to do it, it wasn't available. And then when it was available, I was just like so emotionally distraught, I couldn't even receive it. Or we would just be like getting drunk and like, you know, don't even remember it. Or it never really worked out the way that I wanted. It was never like real. And like, and when it was, I was just, I don't know, I couldn't receive it. I was afraid that I wasn't going to get it again. And so I wouldn't be able to be present during my hangouts because I'm like, okay, when this is over, I know I'm gonna have to go home and I'm gonna be alone and I don't know the next time this is gonna happen. And so it was just like this constant battle of like loneliness, even though there are people everywhere. And I used to go, my parents had no idea what to do with me. They were just like, Bianca, like your life is okay, everything's fine. We love you. And I'm just like, oh, no, you don't. Like, you don't understand. I'm free. Like there's so much happening and I didn't know how to talk about it. And my mom found this like, I don't know what it was, but I would go after school. Sometimes I would drive myself to this, like, I don't even know what to call them. But they would put electrodes on my head and have me lay there and like breathe in and out and follow this ball on the screen. And I would just fall asleep. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I don't know what this is for. I don't know. I don't know. And they were like, you're not supposed to fall asleep. And I'm like, I can't help it. Like, I don't, like, it puts me out. Breathing and looking at this ball for 30 minutes, I can't help but just fall asleep. But, and then they would give me these like affirmations to go and repeat to myself. And I was just like, this is a bunch of bullshit. Like, I didn't know there was life that I could speak over myself. I didn't know, you know, there was no, like, the world is just a place of, anyways. So, yeah. I just remember driving around like my escape. Oh my God, I had this little car. It was a hand-me-down, but it was a good hand-me-down. A lot of people would be like, that's a really great first car. It was a BMW 3 Series, but like an older 2008 version. And I just loved it. It was my sister's old car. And I would just drive around in it and listen to music. That was like the best time ever. But I didn't know where I was going. I didn't have a destination. I was just me.
Drive.
Just driving around Coral Springs, just for, yeah, that was, and then I'd get home and I'd park the car and I'm like, "Ugh, I don't, now what? Like, I don't want to go inside. Like, I just, so yeah, it was a struggle. And I'm just like, and again, looking back, I have a lot of compassion because she just was a lost soul. She didn't know. And where I'm at now, God, thank you. So anyways, that's that. But
Did you go to college?
I did.
Where did you go to college?
Um, I feel like there's more about the car because that car was my, well, actually, so okay, so college, I went to multiple colleges. I was like, okay, college is what you need to get a career to do the thing. And so I was really focused on getting good grades and taking all the classes and whatever. And so I went to Florida Gulf Coast University, and then I went to like 3 community colleges every summer, different ones, to like Broward College, Valencia College, Florida Southwestern College, Seminole State College. These were all like, what are they? Community colleges that you can go take classes. You're not enrolled in them, but you can go. So, because they were easier. But then I transferred to University of Central Florida, like for my last 2 years. So I did 4 years in college, half at FGCU and then the other half at UCF. And that was, I don't know, there's gold in there somewhere, but otherwise it's just like I don't know, put so much time and energy in studying and just getting good grades.
What were you studying? What was the thing that you?
So I was gonna go be I was just like the medical field at the time felt like something to do because I didn't realize there was a whole world of awesome, cool jobs that existed, careers or skills or anything creative outlets. I had no relationship to anything like that. Like until I met people in my life that were like, I was like, wow, that existed this whole time. I had no idea. Just like, anyways, but I went in for nursing and I was on that path for a while and then it didn't work out. So I was like, okay, now what do I do? Like, I can't pursue this path. So then I discovered what a physician assistant was, a PA, and I was like, oh, that one's cool. This one makes a lot of money. So let me just, that's a good one. Um, and so I pursued that thinking, okay, this is going to get my parents happy. This is going to be good for me. All I need to do is get good grades. And so I did that. I did really good grades, but I couldn't do it on my own. I needed to take uh, like Vyvanse. It's like an Adderall based drug to be able to sit down and focus because there's no way. I mean, I didn't have my own desire, interest, curiosity, whatever to do it. But I was like, this is what has to be done, and this is the only way I can do it. And it just like it was like a burnout. I was like, it burnt me out before I even could even make it out into actually applying to do that as my career. I burnt out before then. And by the time it came to like, okay, I graduated, I did it, let me apply now to PA school. It was like another round of a year's worth of like studying for another big exam. And I was like, at this point, can't do it anymore. I literally can't do it anymore. It was like, I felt like college was a waste. I put so much heart in learning science and all the things that you would need to be in the healthcare. But the exam to go to apply to be in the program was math from high school and middle school stuff that I'm like, I don't remember any of that. I can't do this. And I just quit. That was my moment when I was like, I just quit this. And, prior to, I thought college was going to be the savior for me because high school was really rough. And there was a lot of like, like I said, I was just an emotional girl, like a lot of stuff I didn't know how to deal with, process, talk about. And backtracking to that car that I love so much, I got to a point where, I mean, me and my friends, we started drinking at 14 years old. Like my house would be empty a lot, especially since my nanny wasn't around anymore. And my parents would go out and I'd have people over and we would just, there's hard liquor everywhere. And so that became like a thing at a young age, like drinking became a thing. And I was absolutely, completely, totally suicidal, like just like, holy shit, like I can't do this. I don't want to be here. And I remember having this friend in high school, and she just was so incredible. Like, she was someone that I looked up to. She was on varsity soccer team. She was friends with everybody. She was so, she was beautiful and um, just fun to be around and volunteered for all the things. And on Thanksgiving, would go feed the homeless people and bring gifts to me and all of our friends' doors and just all the things. Like, just had the perfect boyfriend, varsity football player, whatever, the things in high school that you think are everything, multiple siblings, just, and she killed herself. She she committed suicide and it was like one of those things where I was just like, what the fuck? Like, and my reaction to it was like, no, like that should have been me. Like that should have been me. Like, and I didn't have the courage to do it first. Like she did. And now look at the freaking reaction. Like the whole school was taken aback. Like the rest of the school years, like from junior to senior year was just like wild. Like we put on functions for her and all the things. And I just remember having this really awful feeling like, no, my life is nothing compared to hers. Like literally, like I'm just small and insignificant and all the things. This was all the story inside that I was living in, and it was a struggle. And so I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I can't imagine what was going on with her for that to happen, given all the things that I saw, given all the things that I thought were awesome and good and I wanted and looked up to. It was just really gut-wrenching. And then I just saw the reaction of everybody. And I was like, wow, like it's a huge impact. Like someone doing that is a big impact forever. And I never ever talked about this before. I never said like this is where I like, especially during then, like I never said, hey, this is how I feel about it. It's like I literally was thinking she had more courage than me. And I'm like, that's what is that? Like, how is that even? So, long story short, a year or so went by, and then I decided, you know what? This really doesn't matter. Like, she did it. I still look up to her. I'm just gonna follow suit and do it too. Like, but again, I the whole time I'm like, I'm terrified. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to go about that, But so I did have drinking. And so I just decided one day after experiencing just it's like overwhelming sadness because high school is relationships and breakups and friends and all the things, right? So I just was really sad and I was leaving this pool party and we were already drinking and I decided I'm just going to go sit in my car, buy more alcohol. I drank it all and I'm just going to drive around. And I drove around wasted, thinking somehow I'm just going to die. Like I was like, I'm just going to. And I was going around like I do, driving around town because that was my thing for hours, hours wasted. At some point, I didn't know this at the time, but I'm bumping into shit, whatever. And the rubber part came off the rim in the front or back of my car. And I'm driving with like fire flames skidding on the rim. Just don't know how I never got, I don't know how I did that for hours and just got away with it. But I remember coming to a red light. But also, while I'm driving, I'm texting my family like goodbye. Literally, like all of this is happening. And my I get to a red light and this couple, they roll down their window and I look over at them and they're just like, "Hey, can we take you home?" And I was like, "Yeah." Or maybe I don't remember exactly, but I just remember submitting to that question. And they're like, "Okay, pull over in this parking lot at the Walgreens and we'll take you home." And so I got in their car and I told, they were a younger couple, like my age. So it was like, okay. And so they they drove me back to my neighborhood and they were like, at some point, I don't know, before I went home, it was like we smoked weed together. I don't know where it came from, but we just had a moment. We talked about some things. And then I remember just going inside, going to sleep and waking up the next morning. And it was like, the fuck happened last night? Like, what did I do? And, my sister came over and my mom and dad, um, I don't think they addressed it, but I remember getting like, what did you do to your car? Like, your car is fucked up. Like, totaled it, basically. Um, and so I went, I think it was my mom and sister to go pick it up and felt a lot of shame and just like I did more damage. Like I just keep damaging everything I touch. Everything is just falling apart. And then we end up going to my parents' shop because they had a construction company and they worked in a shop with like a bunch of, I don't know how else to explain it, like where they fabricate steel and aluminum and stuff. And Um, my dad's face was just like, what did you do? Why did you do that? But that was it. There was no discussion. There was no conversation. There was no like they didn't know what to do with it. And they tried to fix my car, but it wasn't working anymore. And then, yeah, right before college, I ended up getting a brand new one, white BMW. And then I was never the same for me after that. Driving was never the same since. And I just had I was very ungrateful. And a lot of it came across as I'm being really spoiled and, just a lot of shame and judgment and guilt. And like, you have everything and you're still ungrateful. And it was really just, again, I just lost. So that was a really big, impactful moment in my life. But I got a big lesson from it. And it was just, I decided like, that's not the answer. Like, suicide's not the way to go. Um, and I remember having another, like a coming to my knees moment where I had one of two options. And it was, I'm going to either kill myself or God, I need you to help me and intervene. And that's when, and in that moment when I chose God, I said, I can't do this. I literally cried out on my bathroom floor, like on my knees, like this was from another, like this was the result of a relationship that didn't work out, that really hurt me. Or I, you know, oh, woke me up, I guess, if you will. But I fell to my knees, and then that a couple months later is when I got introduced to Earthwaking, and then the rest is history. Like I've been here now for the past since 2022, and it's now 2025. So it's like a rebirth. Literally on my birthday, January 15th, 2022, I decided, okay, I'm gonna go to Costa Rica. I don't know. The village wasn't a thing yet. I mean,
That
it was.
date's so familiar, doesn't it?
What?
The date, January 15th. Isn't that what John always says too? Was
His is
that the
January 25th, 2015.
25th? Okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
why is that so significant?
His was, yeah, so yeah.
So how did you get introduced with Earthwaking? How did that even come about?
An ad on Facebook that John wrote. And it was just speaking to all my struggles and just like, wow, like there's like all the things I was going through from my whole, like, I told you about high school. It was really hard and challenging, and I didn't know I was lost. It was basically a call for the lost, that there's another, and coming to this 2-day event that's going to be hosted online. It's called Awaken Life Live. And just, I was like, okay, like there was a book, If I Die Before I Wake. He's like, hey, read this book. And I downloaded it and I read it all in one day. Like literally the event was the next day and I just started reading it and I couldn't stop. And I was like, this is literally God sent. I'm been waiting to receive this for my whole life. And I just, you know, it moved my spirit that I didn't even know I had. And then yeah, the next day I went to the event, 12 hours for 2 days. And it was just like, wow, it brought me to life. Yeah, it really did. It set me off. It's like, I could just I just understood everything that they were talking about. John and Kirk, coming together, just letting it rip. And yeah, so that, I don't know what else to say about that, but
So after the event, it was like a turning point, and what happened next?
I joined the Visionary Leadership Program. And I was in that for 6 weeks, I think. However long the first round is. 6 weeks.
12.
12 weeks. I was in it for 12 weeks. First go. And then what really actually I think would have been a life altering moment was when Jonathan offered the opportunity to join this program called the Global Movement Mastery. It's only happened one time since I've been at Earthwaking, and it was one of those things where it was $5,000. And I was like, okay, I don't have that kind of money. I'm not going to ask my parents for it. I'm going to see how I can do this. Like, I have no idea. But at the time I was babysitting. And I just remember like, okay, well, I think I had another job too at the time, hosting or something, hostessing. But it was very like, okay, this is my opportunity to like be resourceful. And so I did something I've never done before. And I asked, to get paid in advance and just, so I ended up coming up with the money. And this program was a year long. And so every week I plugged in with John and Kirk and a couple people, and we were just talking global movement mastery. I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know, but I just know I need to stay connected because I'm out here in the wild and um nobody gets it. And these are the only people that get it right now. And so, but John would just talk about this vision before the village was even physical. He would just talk about it and like nature coin and all the things. And it just worked out that when I decided, okay, and it's not even that I decided, it was like, you're gonna go to Costa Rica. It's like it came and I just was like, okay, I'm just gonna take it for what it is and say it's God because God is like, okay. I'm like, what's next? God. And it's like Costa Rica. I'm like, all right, well, okay, that's crazy. But I found out you can go for, at the time it was 90 days just in the country, just be there. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just go. But when I decided that I'm gonna come to Costa Rica, the village had just became a thing. Like maybe a week prior, they had just signed the agreement that, hey, we have a physical village. So it's just like literally mountains moved. I showed up here and um then they needed, Soul was a baby, their little baby. And I was working as babysitter at the time. And so it just worked out. I got to come in as Soul's
You
babysitter.
were babysitting Soul.
Yeah, for a couple months. And then,
Mm.
yeah, I just never left. Just been here since.
How's that journey been here? Walk us through that.
Um, I mean, it's been like different lifetimes in a couple years. It's insane. Like I showed up here and no one's here yet. Like except for the people that journeyed through Mexico to get here to Costa Rica. That's a whole nother story. But so then it's just me, and there was just so much. I watched so much happen in such short, like time spans. Like, this place, the way it looks now, it didn't always look this way. I watched the construction. I watched, putting on events and like having construction be done and it ending the day before the event begins, like miraculous timing, like whoa. And then just been here watching the people come and go, journeying through, and then the community we have now, like 40 people here. It's amazing.
That's
And
insane.
and in that time span, I had my own thing going on, and um I feel like I'm in another, it's like I feel like I came here and it was brand new and then I had another brand new thing happen and now I'm in another brand new space. It's like I'm constantly being renewed. And like don't underestimate like a year from now what's possible or 2 or 3. I mean, we're looking back now 3 years ago. I would have never imagined. I mean, I remember I couldn't like I remember sitting in like when I was in college living alone just praying for things and now I'm inside of it and it's just like, don't forget like the lessons I've received is what really like matters. Like the history is history, it's over. It is what it is. I can tell the story in a million different ways. There's a lot of stuff like I can't tell what's important, relevant, what's not, but if it's meant to be shared, it will. But the point is like I'm literally living in a prayer answered. And yes, life still has its things, but don't forget what you prayed for that is here now. Sure, there's things coming or that you can't see yet, but like my lesson is like grateful for what is now. And like, oh my gosh, looking back, like I could have never imagined. Like I'm sitting in a freaking off-grid dream life house in Costa Rica. Like, it's just, yeah, I still wake up sometimes like, whoa, what?
Yeah. So tell us about your journey with Anthony. You had that journey here at the village, and I think it would touch a lot of people to hear that and where you're at now, what you've climbed through, even being here in the village.
So I asked God to help me share this because I have no idea how to talk about it, but there's history with this man and my journey with him started back in 2019. I had just graduated college. He was living in my neighborhood in Orlando, and I met him one night randomly going to the pool. I wanted to go. We had a community hot tub in this neighborhood, and I had a friend I was hanging out with who's still my friend to this day. Bless his heart. Shout out Cito. Uh he's the one who
What's up,
taught me all
Theo?
about, yeah, he taught me all about Jesus and like would just share the gospel with me. And I'm like, I have no idea who this is, but I don't really know about Jesus, but it was definitely seeds planted, and I'm so grateful because you like Jesus is the key. That's the point. But um yeah, I met him one night in the hot tub and then got connected that way. And then I just spent 2019 just really in this like back and forth dance. Like I didn't know what love was. I thought it was all these, rushes of chemicals stuff. Um, and whatever. We hit it off and in a way that we did, and it was what it was. And love for what I thought it was really super present. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful, and it was extremely painful because, it was on and off. Um, Woke up and then 2020 comes around. What do I want to say? There was just a lot of red flags. I'll put it that way. There was a lot of red flags. I would get anonymous messages from girls, warning me, and I'm like, no, I'm different. This is fine. I thought it was, I don't know. I don't know what I thought, but um,
Well, if you were speaking to someone that was going through this journey, what would you tell them?
you don't need to chase love.
So you
It's,
were chasing him, like share all the things that you were doing,
um,
if you can, if you want to.
I mean, what was I doing? I was distracted, consumed by him. Um, just, just, I'm already disconnected, and then you get with someone else, and it's like I'm now leaving. I'm just like basically not there. I'm not even present. Um, I thought love was pleasure, but when you think about it that way, it actually makes space to receive a lot of pain because God will teach you real quick that that's not the case. So um, I was addicted to the uh, romantic side of it, if you will. And I thought that's what made us work. And I thought, if I'm gonna be with a guy, that I must be enough. Like if I'm gonna, you know, be sharing my time and body and energy with you, like that should be enough. Like you don't need any other girls, but there's a whole history over there on the other side that I wasn't aware of. And, we were just two young adults with all this pain, and we were just doing our best to get by. And we had each other. We found each other in those times, and we were there to um just be distracted by each other for the time being, but we were never there. Neither of us were actually present because we were disconnected from our hearts, and we just so I've never really shared, I don't really know what to say about it, but we broke up. I moved out from Orlando back to like I went back to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and then I was like, okay, I got my own place, my own apartment, and then somehow we got back into contact and you know, did the whole dance again. And then 2020 was the year where it all, COVID happened, and he was coming to move in with me. He was going to leave Orlando, come live with me. And then I find out 3 days later that he was cheating on me. And the girl that he was cheating on me with had messaged me all the things. And that was my coming to my knees moment, because it always felt like in relationships that the carrot was dangling right in front of me and I was so close. And it's like I finally got it. Like I got it. He's moving in with me, our relationship, we're doing it. And then boom, he gets taken again. Just swiped. Like I thought I was gonna have, so doesn't live with me. I'm back to just square one in my world of like, what the heck is going on? And then that's the coming to my knees moment. I'm like, I'm not the, suicide's not the option. God is. Earthwaking popped in. I'm still online. So then 2020 plays out. It's awful. But I'm now connected to a community online that is so supportive, and just I didn't know how to talk about any of this at the time with the community, but regardless, I was still being nurtured and fed truth. And so then 2021 comes around, um, because this happened, 2020 had happened in summertime, and then I met Earthwaking at towards the end, like around Christmas time. And so in the gap, I was just, going through it, like, oh my gosh, And so God delivered. He came through, and it didn't go immediately, but it's okay. Um, so anyways, uh yeah, 2021 comes around, and I'm working on forgiveness, and I'm distinguishing things, and I'm like, okay, I can forgive this guy, all the things, but I didn't realize forgiveness and love doesn't necessarily mean coming back together with someone. It could also mean like, thank you, I love you, I set you free. So let's put a little piece on that note, because that'll come back into play. Yeah, we're gonna pin that. And so
Pinned it.
exactly. So 2021 comes around. I'm always the one reaching out. I reach out. I'm like, all right, hey. And so again, back on. Like, okay, now he's in Orlando. I'm living with my parents now, because I got to a point where I'm like, I don't want to live alone anymore. My parents are down the street. We don't got to pay rent. Let me just go move in with them. And they just built this beautiful, gorgeous home on the water. So I was like, I'm gonna go move in with my parents. Started to like do like realizing there's a lot to heal within that realm also, like healing with my mom and dad, because I was completely still carrying a lot of shit. So, but anyways, we were doing long distance, and this was really hard for me to do long distance. We would drive back and forth to see each other 3 hours, and it just wasn't good. It wasn't, I mean, it was what it was, but I was already still hurt. I'm like, I have the treating wound, I'm trying to open up and be there again. And it just, it wasn't good for my soul. It felt like it was fun, but it wasn't, just hurt at the same time. And so I decided to just run with it for a long time. For the whole 2021, we were just running with it. While I'm in this visionary program, while I'm in the global movement, I'm thinking I got the tools and I can use them and they can help us and whatever. But then that year comes to an end, and this is when I make the decision, okay, I'm out. I'm moving to Costa Rica. Like, we both went our separate ways. He started his new career in his dance, this working as a audio visual technician for a dance company where he goes on tour, and I went to Costa Rica. So, okay, great. Now I'm in Costa Rica. I get 3 months, but you got to get your thing stamped. So I'm like, okay, I got to go. And plus, I left my dog behind. By the way, I had a dog who I was like, I want to bring him to Costa Rica. So I had a mission. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to Florida, go pick up my dog, come back to Costa Rica, get my passport stamped. And so I did that. But guess who picked me up from the airport? Brought me home.
Anthony.
Yeah. So the door was closed and then there it is opened again. Woohoo. And so, yeah, he picked me up. That got rekindled. Then he decided, okay, he was done with his 6 months out of the year tour because that's how it goes every year, it's 6 months. And he decided he's gonna come to Costa Rica. And so he did. He came for an event, one of our events. It was called The Solution. We don't have that anymore, but he came for that. And he ended up staying. He decided to stay. He's like, okay, I'm not going to go on tour anymore. I'm going to be here. And we started life together in Costa Rica here at Earthwaking Village. And it was like a dream come true for me. I couldn't believe it. Um, and then a couple months later, he proposed to me and we got engaged. And then we spent 2023 just in relationship and got married December 2nd, 2023. Um, but it wasn't everything it, turned out. It just I wasn't able to, I don't know. It just, my ego was not willing to forgive and let go and let love in and grace and forgiveness. It wasn't, the more, the longer I felt. Plus, I thought I didn't think time was a problem. I thought he was gonna be around for a while, so I could take my time. But I've learned, like, be grateful for every moment, every day. Like, you never know what's coming. You don't know. Don't take people and time for granted. And so, anyways, um, we're still married, right? But 2024 comes around and he decides, okay, I want to take this job again. I want to go on tour for 6 months. And in my spirit, I knew, I'm like, if he does this, I'm going to lose him. And I didn't want that. So I wasn't upset at him because he was like, he thought I was not happy for him, but I was. It's just, I was like, but that means I'm going to lose you. And so I was being selfish. I was like, no, I don't want that. But anyways, I was like, okay. And so he went off and he would come back every week. And then towards the end of the 6 months, it was like every 2 weeks. And it just ended up that he realized like that's what he wants to do with his life. He doesn't want to be here anymore. And that was really hard for me to hear. It was really devastating to accept and to work. But it really gave me a lesson on what love truly is, and that's honoring people's sovereignty. And, it's not being attached and taking things personal. And it's like, just, okay, it was the hardest thing for me to do, for me to be like, okay. And I wanted to compromise and be like, but you can still do your job. You don't need to move out. But he was really like, no, I want to have my own business and I want to go pursue other things. And I was like, I'm all right. Like, we've gone through things back and forth so much. I just was like, I can't, I, this feels like one of those moments where it's like, right. It feels like the end of a cycle. And, it's been 10 months since, and um, it's almost like I love him more without all the attachment and selfishness in the way of needing him to be a certain way or be in my life or like, I never really saw him as a whole world and me as a whole world. I was just enmeshed. And now I have this ability, like, wow, having a whole experience in there. And I was selfish. Like I just wanted my experience to be heard, seen, cared for, addressed. And I never really was able to hold space for him to share his. And I did a lot of things that I would do differently if I had another chance. And so one of the lessons is in like forgiving myself, like accepting, accepting what was, and it happened because it was supposed to. But if I could say anything to him, it's like I'm really sorry for just some of the things I said to him, he didn't deserve it. It was just, I was in a lot of pain, and I didn't know how to process or what to do with it. It just came out like hurt people. And that's what I did. I didn't mean it. And if I could just, share authentically my experience instead of making it all about him and blaming him and all the things, like that just feels like where I'm at now. Like I've learned how to be more um, authentic when it comes to like what I'm going through without making it about, oh, it's you, it's because you're doing this or whatever. Just um, it's been really hard though, the, the divorce and just not having control of other people's perception of me or like how we ended and the way it went and just never talking again since and just, you know, but all I can do is just forgive and love and just accept that everything I thought I was getting from him, it was never that way. Love is forgiving. It's giving. It's not forgetting. It's not trying to take and feed off another person. And so now I recognize like all the things I thought I wanted him to give me as it was me. That was my place to give what I wanted to get, to be responsible for not just he like anyways, our hearts are in the on the line, like both of us. It's, I want him to hold my heart, but it's an honor and privilege to get to hold another person's heart too. And now I get to do that with all the people that come into my life. So I really am grateful for that relationship. And yeah, uh, what it's done for me in relating with myself and recognizing like a divine union starts with yourself and with God. Yeah. And so I've been a stranger in my own home for a really long time. Now I'm getting acquainted and familiar and grateful and loving and nurturing of it. I'm a host for heaven, not just me, my body, but my home.
Amen to that. Acknowledge your authenticity and your raw vulnerability to share that story, to share everything that you did here today. Um, is there anything that you'd like to share about Earthwaking Village?
Yeah,
Any
it's awesome.
gratitude you'd like to express, or yeah?
Yeah, this is the place I get to be with that young girl that felt lost and alone and now I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost like a second chance. Like I heard this quote about no time is ever wasted. Like you look back and you think wasted time. No, it's just being rearranged. So it's almost
Mm.
like the time that I thought was lost is just now becoming available to me. And it's really beautiful. And I'm really grateful for the just the people here. Like the people are is what makes the place. Like heart-centered, God-loving and fearing people who just like give a shit about each other and what we're going through. And like will snap us out of it by telling us the truth that we don't want to hear, but it's important. That's the thing I couldn't do or receive for myself was like something that hurts, but it's like, hey, you're already hurting. Let this purify you. I know it hurts, but let it refine you. So there's a lot of wisdom here. And um, it's just, there's nothing like it. People committed to the same thing with the same values, walking in the same direction. And then also, it's just a bonus that we all get to live together and um, co-create this experience and building actual infrastructure to support people to live in while they're just healing up and growing up and waking up. Like there's no other place like it on the planet. I have to say that right. The godsend.
Yeah. Is there any way that anybody can reach out to you or support you while you're on this journey?
Yeah, if you want, I encourage everybody to join earthwakingvillage.com and just get plugged into our online virtual village. And if you ever want to reach out, you can just look me up in there and find me that way.
Awesome. So everything's going to be in the description box below. I loved how you offered Awaken Life Live, John's book, which is If I Die Before I Wake. And those links will be in the chat for you in earthwaking.com. It's the link right there. And I just appreciate and honor you. I honor your journey. I honor the things that you shared today here on this podcast. Like, I didn't even know some of those things, on the journey together. And we've been sisters now for, what is it, 5 years? It's been quite a journey together, you and I. And I just really appreciate the realness, like, we're really real people having these journeys from hell, like in what the world has caked onto us, and we're cleaning each other off, and while God's chipping away at us and molding us into his image while we become holy together, and we love each other so much more each and every day, and because we're a little bit more ourselves each and every day. And the way that you just showed up today as a queen, and the way that you honored every single part of your path and spoke life over it, it was really beautiful, Bianca. And I encourage anyone that's watching this, especially in relationship, because I went through a relationship for 17 years and it's really, really important to know what you guys' purpose is. You never know, but like, if God has a purpose for you, and you're not in the same boat, like, say somebody wants to be a scuba diver in Australia, and the other person wants to be in Costa Rica doing some God work, it's not going to work. Like, you're going to want to pull each other off each other's path, and it's just not going to work. It doesn't mean that either one is wrong. It's just, it's not your purpose that you came here for. And you honored that. Like, you are a demonstration of that, and so thank you for that, Bianca. Thank you for that awareness again, for people that are here watching that. And you're not meant to die physically either. You're just supposed to die to the identity. So,
and I want to say thank you to Sarah Jean, because like I don't know words, and I'm just finding out real time too what my story is and what it's been. And so just thank you for this opportunity. I've never done anything like this before, talking about my life. That just kind of feels like, well, it happened. So whatever, you know, let's own it, just own it. And that's what I'm learning how to do more. And yeah, I love you. I appreciate you. And there's just one more thing I want to say, and that is just I wouldn't be able to even reflect or talk about my life if it wasn't for receiving the forgiveness that's been given to me. That the only reason I can look back and forgive is because of this. It's it's because I couldn't do it before. And now I recognize what it costs you. The lack of forgiveness, what it costs you, is worth more than if you could just let go of your pride and your ego and your desire to be right and win the power struggle. It's too expensive. So I just want to end with that and say
amen. Thank you again, Bianca.
welcome.
And again, there's resources out there for you. It's going to be in the description box below. I just appreciate anybody that's watching this and is touched or moved by this conversation, or that you might even find yourself inside of Bianca's story. Just know that on your journey, you do have people that can support you and uplift you, and you're not alone. And Jesus loves you very, very much. That's the number one relationship. That's the most important, is the one that you have with him. And if you don't know how to get there, that's okay too. He'll find you. Thanks.